Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, we're out after a Christmas wild boar in the southeast of England. Get your tape measures out. We're after Britain's biggest fox, hunted within the law or shot. We reckon we've got a contender for the title, but you'll have to watch next week's programme to find out more. In the meantime, send us a photo and measurements of the biggest fox in your life. Email me, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. But first, let's go hunting for repeal with the Quantock Staghounds. They've been hunting deer on the Quantock Hills of Somerset and on nearby Exmoor for thousands of years. Just in the last couple, they've had a few problems. Hunt master Richard Downes has had to face the courts and now has a criminal record. Alison Hawes runs the southwest region for the Countryside Alliance and is passionate about hunting.
It's very difficult for us to work out what is lawful and what is unlawful. It's very difficult for any huntsman who's going out day in, day out, trying to do his job. And every time he's thinking, am I operating within the law? Am I trail hunting, is that all right? I've got all these exemptions that I can meet. Am I meeting them all? And it's particularly difficult for the staghounds because their form of hunting is very different to that of the foxhound packs and the beagle packs. So it is much more difficult for huntsmen like Richard Downes to meet all the exemptions and to do his very best, which he has been trying. And it's just very sad that on 2 occasions the law has found against him.
Thanks to an enormous amount of work by supporters on the ground and the Countryside Alliance promoting their efforts and the sport at a national level, hunting is still attracting new enthusiasts and providing red letter days. James Hawthorne is vice chairman of the Quantock Staghounds.
The Countryside Alliance have been a great support during these trials on a personal level, on a political level and on a financial level to a lesser extent. No, they've been terrific, and they are the only organisation that is out there fighting for repeal, and so it's imperative that we give them our whole support. Muddling along is no good at all. Richard, our huntsman's got 2 convictions now. He's got a criminal record. That's 2 good reasons that we don't carry on under this law. And every huntsman in the country has the potential of going out and breaking the law and ended up with a criminal record. Well, that is just not right. It's a bad law, and Tony Blair himself has said he regrets it, but that's little comfort to us now. We need to get this law repealed, and we're committed to keep going, but we cannot keep going for the long term underneath this Hunting Act. We do need repeal desperately.
Truth is, I do know more about stag hunting than I'm letting on. A few short weeks of riding training and I went to a Quantock Staghounds meet near the end of last season. I'm one of the people who have started going hunting since the hunting ban. Stag hunting is not elitist, it's for the masses. It attracts anyone with an interest in the deer herds of this part of Britain, and it supports a variety of ancient and modern skills. It also binds rural communities. But the importance of the sport must be heard and understood by everyone, not just by those who live and breathe it.
We spent 700 hours discussing in Parliament hunting, whether it was right or wrong. What we're now discussing is this piece of legislation, the Hunting Act. And we have the judiciary, we have the police, we have the courts. We even have 2 prime ministers who all agree that it is a bad piece of legislation. It doesn't work, it does nothing for animal welfare whatsoever, and it's about time it went. We have here some cards that we are going to be issuing on Boxing Day, and they have a picture of our former Prime Minister. He does actually admit, and I quote, "One of the domestic legislative measures I most regret is the Hunting Act." So here we have the Labour Prime Minister, who was actually responsible for bringing through the Hunting Act, actually admitting 5 years later that he made a mistake.
It was an incredible day. My horse was both magnificent and impossible, and my legs hurt for weeks. Yes, weeks. It's been a fabulous, glorious, fast-paced stag hunting day. It's a bit like being a football fan, this, except the seat you're on is moving at about 35 miles an hour across open country. It's very, very exciting, and if your hunt has an open day near you, I highly recommend you go along. The spirit on the hunting field is stronger than in any team game. It is clear why people like Alison are so committed to their sport. Postcards sent to MPs will demonstrate support for the repeal of the Hunting Act. Whatever your MP's views on hunting, it is vital that they realise how hard it is for huntsmen to do their jobs under the current legislation. Repeal is the only option. If you want to send a card to your MP, contact the Countryside Alliance. From a hot driving seat to a cold high seat, Dominic Holtham has got a Ford Ranger to play with, and he's after Boar in Sussex.
With Arctic conditions gripping the UK, it's perfect timing for me to be given a Ford Ranger Wildtrak to play with. But before we start putting it through its paces in the white stuff, I get a call out from the police. We were due to be filming later today anyway, but before I had a chance to cut my hair and have a shave, we've had the police on the phone. There's been a road traffic collision involving a deer, and obviously I was the only deer warden that wanted to answer his phone this morning, so we've got kitted up and we're coming to try and find this deer. Apparently it's injured by the side of the road, so a potential danger to other road users there, but you know, our main concern is with the welfare of the animal and to get out as quickly as possible, and if it's in distress, to dispatch it humanely and then make sure we deal with the carcass appropriately. Dealing with this type of situation always calls for discretion. In the area where we've been told to come, there's a deer in there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go and find somewhere to turn around. Sometimes there are police attending, and often the driver who hit the deer in the first place. My priority is to dispatch that deer as quickly and safely as possible. Is the deer in a position where it's safe to shoot it? Is it close to someone's house? Are there people around? And in this instance, the deer was in a safe situation with a safe backdrop. There was no traffic on the road and there were no pedestrians on the road. So the animal was also clearly alive. I want to make sure that that animal is put out of its misery as quickly as possible. Pulled in, blocking off the area where the deer is, put the hazard lights on, make the vehicle visible, because obviously we don't want to cause any danger to other road users. And then it's a question of, you know, I've got the rifle with me, load up, shoot the deer, get it into the back of the vehicle, out of sight, get the gun away, and then, you know, we're being discreet, we're thinking about other people's feelings. Literally just after we'd dispatched the deer, load it in the back of the truck, 3 girls walking down to the bus stop on their way to school, you know, they probably wouldn't have wanted to see an injured deer being shot. So we have to be a little bit sensitive about that, even though, like I say, our primary concern is with the welfare of the deer. Our job is also to dispose of the carcass, so we head back to the yard to clean it up. It'll make perfect food for Colin's dogs. With the deer cleaned, we can get on with some of the jobs we've planned for the rest of the day. First stop is Ringdon Farm, where they make apple juice. I've started experimenting with putting the apple pulp down for the wild boar at the high seas. It's really popular with local farmers that use it for feeding the animals during the winter, and we thought pigs love apples. We might put a couple of bags of this down when we go to feed the boar later, just for something different. We normally feed cereals, but this is kind of a bit of recycling, and it seems a natural synergy. You know, applesauce always goes well with pork, so we thought we'd give it a try. As I've mentioned before, the boar are having a hard time with no close season and too many guns, and we think that numbers are in freefall. Where we used to see groups of 30, we now see 3s and 4s, and if we didn't have to shoot them, we wouldn't. But we need to keep our landowners happy, and there's no doubt that a sounder of boar can cause real damage to paddocks and gardens. We endeavour to only take young males which have no chance of breeding. Other shooters are not always so selective, unfortunately. So we've come to the first of our feed sites, and as you can see, there's pretty much nothing left, which is a good sign. You know, we've been feeding quite heavily here. They haven't been feeding every single day, but I can smell there's been pigs here, and obviously they've been before it froze last night by the looks of things. So that's good news. We're gonna feed a couple of places here, and then we're going to head off to our other high seat, which is close by, and see if the pigs have been there too. Okay, so this is the apple pulp that we got from the juicing place earlier. It's the first year we fed this, but as you can see, you know, they'd pretty much cleared it. So it's a food source that they're prepared to tackle. At the moment we're feeding it separately to the cereals, just to see if there's any difference, if there's any preference. You know, if they turn up and only clear one particular food, then obviously we know what we should be concentrating on. So it's a bit of an experiment for us, but clearly at the moment the pigs seem to be enjoying it. With the food down, it's time to do some housekeeping. We need a safe passage up to the high seat and a clear line of fire to the food. The weather is all over the place, blue skies then white out, but making the most of a clear break, I can talk through Ford's double cab contender. Okay, so we're going to do a quick 60-second walk round of the Ranger and show a few of the key points. We're going to start at the business end. This is first and foremost a pickup truck. So we've got a good load bed capacity. It comes standard with this roller cover, which is a great idea, except that in these weather conditions it freezes. So we spent ages pouring boiling water in the lock to make sure that we could actually get in here, but in more clement conditions, absolutely fine. See, we've got plenty of space in there. It's got about a ton of capacity, which is more than enough for most people. You can also get a pop-up hard tonneau cover and of course a box back to give you the flexibility and the choice. As you can see, there's quite a lot of spangly chrome on the Wild Track version, which is the top of the range model. Nice chrome bumper here, and you can see these little sensors. These are actually parking sensors, which is not the kind of kit you'd normally expect to find on a pickup truck. Nice clear lenses on the lights there. We've also got whopping great 18-inch alloy wheels that look really funky. Not ideal for snowy conditions like this, and probably not going to be the first choice if you want one of these as a work vehicle, but they do look quite trendy. In keeping with that kind of idea, we've got the running boards here, graphics down the door, and when you open up we've got nice glow-in-the-dark kick plates there. I'm sure you've probably noticed as well, we've got some rather funky orange piping and trim on the seats. We've got leather, Alcantara, all logoed up, very, very trendy. Some of the other kit that you get, obviously for styling purposes, we've got nice chrome on the door mirrors. Inbuilt indicators, very nice, and at the push of a button you can fold them in. Moving around now to the front of the vehicle, it's quite a striking looking machine. It's certainly got plenty of road presence, and thanks to the 3-litre Duratorque engine, it's actually really quick as well. 156 horsepower, loads of torque, surprisingly smooth for a pickup as well. You never feel that this thing's short of power. If you're listening, Santa, you want to pop one in my stocking, that'd be great. With the Boar fed, we can again make use of the pickup with some essential Christmas shopping. It's funny how you discover that you've got more friends than you ever thought you had when you've got a vehicle like this on test. For example, at 8 o'clock this morning when the phone went and David the cameraman decided he needed some assistance in transporting a Christmas tree. But that's the point of these vehicles. They really are an all-in-one solution. Whether it's taking the kids to school, it's going hunting with your mates, or it's getting the Christmas tree back. They'll do everything. With another heavy snowfall, we have time to check out the interior. Okay, so while we're taking refuge from the blizzard outside, talk you around the interior of the latest Ford Ranger. Obviously we've seen that it's got a lot of working capacity, but this is the top of the range Wild Track model, and they certainly haven't been shy with making it comfortable. So we see that combination of kind of utility and luxury. We've got heated seats here for both driver and passenger. We've got air conditioning. We've got a 6-disc CD player, which is MP3 compatible. We've got nice leather and Alcantara seats, all very swish. But we've also got off-road centre here, which tells us, should you really need to know, the angle of the dangle. So lateral angle, front and rear angle, and a compass if you absolutely need to know which direction you're travelling in. The Ranger comes with either a 5-speed auto or a 5-speed manual. We've got the manual gearbox here, which is It's a really nice, crisp manual gearbox, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's also got switchable 2 and 4-wheel drive, so in normal driving we'd keep it in 2-wheel drive for best fuel economy and best handling, but conditions like this, pull the lever back, you're in 4-wheel drive, and if the going gets really tough, across, up, and you're into 4-wheel drive, low ratio, because it's got a proper low range transfer box on this, which is obviously what you need for a vehicle that's going to be able to work hard as well as play hard. With the light going, we arrive at the high seat and we know we're going to be cold, at least -5. I'll go to one high seat while Colin and David go to the other. The moon and the snow should give us a good view. A small fallow doe makes an appearance, but we want boar. I, on the other hand, have better fortune, and half an hour after last light, a young male boar comes to feed. I've been in the seat for probably less than an hour. Heard a group of pigs approaching. They took their time, they're pretty cautious tonight. Saw a couple of animals start to move into the clearing and then freeze. They look quite good sized animals. This is obviously a lot younger animal, and it couldn't be bothered to wait around and check whether there's any danger. It came straight out to the food pretty much. I thought it was a suitable cull animal. Obviously with the snow behind it, it was quite easy to see it, and I was able to ascertain that it was a young male. So yeah, took the shot, and that'll be some good eating, some meat for the landowner, and hopefully something for us.
Numbers are down there, aren't they, Don?
Yes, yeah, it was a sounder of only 3. This was the only immature male in the group, and I think, you know, from what Colin's been saying and from his experience at the other seat, I can't see us pursuing these too much more this season. I think you know, that could be it, which is it's a real shame, because, you know, as you've experienced tonight, there's nothing much more magical than sitting under a full moon and waiting for a British wild boar. But it's an increasingly rare experience these days, which is it's a real pity. Back at base, I'm cracking on with the Gralloch. It's a healthy young male, although definitely a porky porker. As you can see, it is an extremely fat pig. See the cover in here and inside the cavity. That's as fat as I've ever seen a young male. Well, ever. Quite why it's that fat, I don't know. So oftentimes during the winter, you know, if the animals are in the rut, or if the conditions are hard, you think they'll be struggling for food. Whether or not there's that many shooters feeding them, that they've got just far more food than they normally would have, I don't know. But that is certainly a fat little pig. The Ranger has been a superb all-rounder. Usable and comfortable, it's as happy in the supermarket car park as it is in the backwoods. A true do-everything machine.
Well, we're back next week. This has been Fieldsports Britain, still giving the politicians a hard time.